Welcome to another stage analysis video. It's Wednesday the 21st of June 2023. I'm going to do a special group focus today on this midweek video on the crypto coins and their related stocks and a few of the ETFs. So with Bitcoin moving higher in stage 2 once more, it moved back above its 50-day moving average yesterday and pushed through strongly today once more. So it's had a strong move so far this week and back up, testing that 30,000 level again. So I thought it was a relevant time to look back at the group again. I think I did with the majority of the group's stage 2 breakouts back in mid-April time. I think it was around 16th of April or so, the last time I did as part of the weekend video for the members. So when I covered the group last, so I think it'd be useful to see what's going on in the individual stocks, how their stage 2 advances have developed or not, as may be the case, and obviously what the altcoins are doing as well, which we'll cover in the later part of the video. So it shouldn't be too long of a video, as it's only a smallish group, so hopefully keep it to around half hour or so. So let's get started by looking at the weekly chart of Bitcoin. So this chart goes back all the way to mid 2019. So a long-term chart on this one at the moment. Obviously, you can go back much further and see the moves on this. It's been gone through the stage analysis cycles in a very consistent way throughout time. Extreme pullbacks, obviously extreme moves higher. So its average true range on a 52-week basis is 3,506 at the moment. So with it just sitting underneath that 30,000 level, we're looking at 11+% a week in terms of average true range. So it's a big mover on average. Currently, obviously, we're above the weekly average at 13.63%. Big move. It's been tight for around 10 weeks here. It's been pulling back gradually, moved back underneath that 10-week moving average, 50-day moving average there, but still within its stage 2 advance. The stage 2 actually started earlier in the year back here, so it was a very early move into stage 2, but it was a bit distorted by this significant bar. So this was when FTX blew up back here. You see the huge volume, all of the Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of the altcoins got pretty destroyed at that point, but Bitcoin held up exceptionally well and then got very, very tight for a couple of months before the sudden sharp move back above the 30-week moving average, and then the follow-through move, which actually, in my opinion, at that point was the move back into stage 2. Still underneath the Mansfield relative strength line at that point. So it was a bit distorted low by obviously what was gone on in this structure and that shakeout move. So if we look at the broader structure here, you can see within that, obviously, if you go through your Wyckoff structures, we've got the selling climax, your automatic rallies, some secondary testing, and we've got this big shakeout move. So this is what we call a terminal shakeout, and then obviously a higher low test and follow through move coming back into the range. So phase D of the base structure, major backup, and then following through for a second move. So as I said, this area here, the first move into early stage 2, and then the follow through, much clearer move, obviously clearing the entire structure. But by that point, it had already moved quite a long way from obviously the 200-day and the 30-week moving average. So at this point here, you can see we were 25% above the 30-week moving average there. If I drop down to a daily chart on this, you can see a little bit more clearly. So this is the area where I said it was just initially moving up into early stage 2, and then this was the major backup. So obviously from the major backup coming out here, it was a long way above that 200-day moving average as well, which was starting to turn up at the time. There's that FTX shakeout area there back in November, which distorted that range so much. At the moment, this is the free ATR levels here. So as we do with the stocks, the free ATR levels are very useful for short term and in terms of looking for short-term extension, and in terms of obviously tighter areas, etc. But it's for when you want to see how many stocks, or if the stock's in a short-term uptrend or a short-term downtrend, a good way that I use is what we call the 1 ATR level. So this line here is the 21-day EMA, which is obviously roughly our 1 month line, as there's 252 trading days in a typical year. Bitcoin's a bit different though, obviously it trades every day, so it's a bit It's a different one. So the 21 day doesn't represent a month in Bitcoin, but it does in stocks. So we use the same principle on this, but then this is the 180R line, the plus 180R line above that 21 day moving average. So you can see when we're below that, we tend to be in a short-term downtrend, and when we're above the plus 180R level there, we tend to be in a short-term uptrend. So it's not when we're below the plus 180R that we're in a short-term downtrend. It's when we're below the minus 180R level. Sorry. So didn't quite get there with Bitcoin. So this was showing it was more of a consolidation as the price action was holding within that between the plus 180R level and the minus 180R level with only a few little dips and breaks above. So showing that this was a fairly consistent consolidation, whereas obviously once you get into a more downtrend mode, you get below that level. So at the moment, we've pushed up to the 380R level here, starting to clear some near-term pivots, but still under resistance in the near term here, up to around that 31,000 level. So if we go back to the weekly chart here, you can see that level a little bit more clearly there, just testing up into that. This is a area of resistance back to, we go a little bit further above here. We've got multiple pivots back in May, June last year, and back from the early part when it started to potentially break down into stage 4 in early 2022. This breakdown point here, the 30-week moving average, was still rising at that point, so not technically stage 4. It was the breakdown, but obviously we like the 30-week moving average has to be declining for it to be stage 4. So it didn't start declining, I think it was to about around this kind of area here where it started to turn. At that point it was stage 4, but shaking out a bit around there. So whether it was late stage 3 or early stage 4 didn't really matter too much. Once it started to drive down in this point here, it was very clearly in stage 4 and selling off heavily. You can see we came off with Bitcoin a long way, of 70+% there, all the way down until it started to form this base structure within stage 4, which eventually has turned into stage 1 and back towards stage 2 again. So we'll see a strong move year to date. It's obviously off of its lows back in, November time there. We're 90+% off of the lows there. So very, very strong move, and back above the Mansfield relative strength line here as well. So starting to outperform the S&P 500 since around March. So you can see from late 2021, so November 2021, it moved below its Mansfield relative strength line there all the way until March this year. So that was where it was underperforming. Now it's starting to outperform again. So Bitcoin is obviously doing better than the stock market at the moment in that regard. Go to next, Ethereum. Similar kind of moves. Obviously the shakeout didn't come off quite so far as Bitcoin there. Probably had similar kind of percentage moves, but it held up relatively well during its base structure here. So this was a very broad, had this change of behavior in stage 4, but it was still below a declining 30-week moving average at the time. So still grinding down, but it was starting to show the starts of a major structure. Obviously started to form higher lows around this area here in November after that major shakeout. So similar kind of moves with the undercut and shake and move back, but the stage 2 breakout got a later point in here in March, as this first move didn't break any major levels in the near term there until it started to get back above this area in March. So at the moment, potential major backup, so stage 2 secondary entry zone currently potentially with this one as it starts to rebound again. If we drop to a daily chart, you'll see that move. So we had an undercut, moving average, undercut and rally move here at the moment, coming back into the range and back above its 50-day moving average again with this today. So, and above the 180R level there. Look at